Okay? In this case, I'm talking about there is no legal excuse for him. But if the person delays making up for the missed fasting days for no legal excuse, then dies, okay, there must be expiation for those days to be fulfilled from his inheritance, okay? Namely, feeding on his behalf a poor person for each fasting day he had missed. Now you can understand this point? So if the person, he doesn't have any legal excuse, okay, in this case the inheritors should compensate for him. But if he has a legal excuse and he dies because of illness or travel or something, no blame on him. Okay?
We have to do both, like make up the fasting and also kafara? Okay.
No, here they said no. The expiation for those days to be fulfilled from his inheritance, namely feeding the poor.
Just feeding them.
That's the yes, feeding the poor. Feeding the poor for each fasting day. Regarding one who dies before performing due expiatory fasting, such as expiatory fasting for zihar or some, this is a bit complicated. I will skip it because it's not related to Ramadan in general. Okay, in particular. Okay, this is what I want you to understand and to take care of, which is related to the making up the days. Making up the days. So if you have the legal excuse, then no problem for you to make up the days after the new Ramadan. If you do not have the legal excuse, then you have to make up these days and to make expiation by feeding the poor. And if the person dies without having the legal excuse, with having legal excuse, okay, in this case nothing, no blame for him, no blame on him, and even the inheritors should not do anything. But if he doesn't have the legal excuse, in this case the inheritors, and the person dies, then in this case the inheritors should feed or should make the expiation for that person. Okay, so this is the chapter regarding this issue, which is making up the days. Breaking the fast, illness or old age. Let's go now to another case, or the last chapter regarding this issue, which is breaking the fast due to illness or old age. Okay. Allah, glorified and exalted be He, has decreed the obligation of fasting of Ramadan on Muslims. It is be performed when there is no legal excuse. Yet, this is important to know, unperformed fasting days of Ramadan are to be made up for one other days with regard to those having legal excuse. There is a third type. These two types we have already discussed, right? There is a third type. There is a third type here, namely those who can neither perform fasting nor make up for it. Okay? Such as those advanced in years and those who are hopelessly sick. Someone he is having a hopeless sick. That he, yes, I'm sorry?
Cancer.
Yes, cancer or something that he knows well, and the doctor said to him that there is no cure for him. Or an advanced or an old person that is already, for example, 80 years or 70 years, and he couldn't observe Ramadan, this Ramadan and the next Ramadan and so on. So he can't. Okay, this is the third type of the people, such as advanced in years and those who are hopelessly sick. With regard to such persons, Allah relieves them from fasting, enjoining them to feed a poor person for each unperformed fasting day instead. They are to provide half of a sa' of food for each day. Allah exalted, He says in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So if they couldn't, if he is an old person or ill, then it's okay for him. Allah also says, and upon those who are able to fast, but with hardship, a ransom, a substitute of feeding a poor person each day in Surah Al-Baqarah. وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين. Actually, for this ayah, it has two meanings, and there is a kind of nasakh in this ayah. But it seems that the authors of this book, they go to the other opinion, which is also sound opinion. They mention that this ayah is not abrogated. It's muhkama. It's a kind of perfect ayah. which is giving for us the excuse for the old and sick people. Okay. After, inshallah, after the class, I can explain more about this because it's a bit maybe a bit confusing for some of you. I will explain it in detail, inshallah, after the class. Okay. But what we want to know that this ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, the many scholars, they say that this ayah is mansukha, is abrogated, and for the authors of this book, they said that it's not abrogated, it is muhkama. And we are going to follow this ayah in order to give excuse for the old and ill people. Okay. In this interpretation of the above mentioned verse, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, this is what Ibn Abbas said. Okay. And this is in Bukhari, related by Bukhari. The verse refers to those old men and old women and women who are too old to fast. They should feed one poor person for each unperformed day of fasting instead of fasting. Okay, so Ibn Abbas, which is narrated already by Al-Bukhari, said that this verse particularly for old men and women. Okay, and the excuse comes from here. As for hopelessly sick people, the ruling will be the same as that applied in the case of aged people, i.e., they are to feed one poor person for each unperformed day of fasting. So they are going to feed one poor person. Among those who break their fasting, now you understand this point? So we said that I think that we can understand it clearly. Old and ill people, they are excused. But they have to what? To feed a poor person, okay? Half of salt. Among those who break their fasting due to a legal excuse are travelers, sick people, whose recovery is expected. Okay? 3. Pregnant or breastfeeding women. Those fasting might harm them or their babies. Okay? So this is the third category. The fourth one. And menstruating women. Okay? Or women in a state of postnatal bleeding. Istihada. Okay? Now we have different categories. All of those people are excused. It is obligatory for the people in all of the aforesaid cases to make up for the unperformed fasting days. So they should do what? They should do this kind of making up after Ramadan. That is to say, they are to observe fasting on other days equal to the number of days they have broken their fasting on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and whoever is ill or on a journey, then an equal number of days, to compensate an equal number of days. On the other hand, breaking the fast is an act of the sunnah. This is important, and take care of this. Please pay attention, pay careful attention regarding this. On the other hand, breaking the fast is an act of the sunnah for an extremely sick person, or for a woman or for whom fasting may cause harm, or a traveler covering a distance that necessitates shortening prayer. What does it mean? If the person is extremely sick, in this case, it is sunnah. Okay, it's prophetic tradition not to fast. Okay, to break his fast is a sunnah in this case, because some people, they think that if we are going to face more hardship, in this case we are going to have more rewards. Okay, and this is not right. The more rewards should be by following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the more rewards. Okay, this is this is important. The sunnah is the right thing to follow here. Okay. On the other hand, breaking the fast as an act of sunnah for an extremely sick person for whom fasting may cause harm, or for a traveler. Okay, covering a distance that necessitates shortening prayer. A person that is going to travel, okay, or traveling, okay. Namely, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, and whoever is ill or on a journey, then an equal number of days to be compensated. Namely, let him break his fast and make up for the days he did not fast later. Okay. In addition, whenever the Prophet ﷺ was given the choice of one of the two matters, he would choose the easier one to follow. Okay. Whenever we have Rasulullah ﷺ, whenever he has two matters, he always chooses the easier one to follow. Consequently, If the one on a journey or the one who is ill observes fasting with difficulty, the fasting will be valid, yet not recommended. What does it mean? If, for example, a person that is related to the question that we have said, that if the person is ill, okay, and he is going to feel or to face some hardship while observing fasting, and he is ill. In this case, if he said that I'm going to fast, it is okay for him. It will count for him. It's valid fasting, but it is not recommended. Okay, makruh, we say it makruh, it's disliked. Okay, take care of such kind of tiny things because they are important for us to know. Okay. Okay.
Ustaz, this
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
Is it permissible for us to pay fidyah for not fasting day due to menstruation with the reason in case we die before we could make up the fast? In this case, the person is totally healthy and fine.
Yes. Okay. She says that if due to menstruating, right, and she could make up these days,
Mm-hmm.
but the person dies, or she dies, the person she's talking about. In this case, as we said, the menstruating, because again, let's go again to the ruling. So if she dies because, and there are some days that she should have made them up, but she didn't, or she hasn't. In this case, it is a legal excuse for her, and dies, then nothing will be on this. This is a bit difficult to. I have to understand the question very clearly before giving the answer. But if we are going to make analogy with what I have said before, that the person, if he has a legal excuse, let us put it like this. We have the person dies, and if he has a legal excuse, in this case, if he dies, then nothing will be on him. There is no blame. But if he doesn't have any legal excuse, in this case, his inheritors should give or feed one poor person for each day that he missed up. In this case, I think it will be the same for the menstruating woman, because she has a kind of legal excuse within a flexible time, and dies after that, or dies during this period.
But she did have time to make up for it, or did not have time to make up for it? If she did have time to make up for it, then it should be made up, right? If she did not have time for it, then it's okay to not make up for it.
Because there is no blame on her. I mean that, because as we said, the person who dies, and he has a legal excuse. And we said that the legal excuse after Ramadan, it is flexible time. So in this case, he dies, for example, in the middle of the year. Still, he has like 6 months ahead. He could have done it, but he haven't done this. So in this case, the ulama, they said, if he dies, no blame on him, and there is no expiation. Okay? They said that.
Okay.
Because nothing, it's a flexible time. It's a flexible time for him. And he has a legal excuse. But if he doesn't have a legal excuse, and within this kind of flexible time, so in this case, the inheritors should feed the poor.
What if, like, the inheritance? Some people, like, they feel like if we observe the fasting on behalf of this, even if he is like ill or he has a legal
excuse,
and then they do it like because they love, like they want more rewards for him and for themselves. They feed, and is it okay, like?
The ulama, I read about this, and they said that it is different than the vow. What you are talking about is the vow, because this is an obligation of Ramadan. It is an obligation on the person himself. For example, if someone, he dies, and he didn't pray for 2 years, the inheritors cannot pray for 2 years for him, because this is an obligation on him. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَزِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. They cannot, because an obligation. But if if he is making a nadr means what? He said that if I, for example, did so, I would fast for 10 days. This nadr, it is a dayn. It is considered like a debt. Okay, because someone came to Rasulullah ﷺ and asked him that my mother, she died, and there is a vow in here, nadr in here. Should I compensate it, or should I make up for her this? He said yes, because what if that she has a debt? You need to give this debt back to the people. The similar situation here. Okay. As for menstruating women or women in a state of postnatal bleeding, they are prohibited to perform fasting. Okay? It's not like the person with illness, and he is going to face hardship, so he can fast, and this will be disliked for him. For menstruating women and postnatal bleeding women, they are prohibited to fast. I think this is understandable. Look to this, because this is the coming point, is very interesting. And if they do, it's deemed to be invalid, of course. Pregnant and breastfeeding women, whoever, have to make up for the fasting days they have missed on other days. Okay, Pregnant and breastfeeding women, however, have to make up for the fasting days they have missed on other days. Likewise, women who break their fast due to the fear of their children are to feed a poor person for each unperformed day of fasting. Can you understand this?
The pregnant woman too, or breastfeeding woman only?
The pregnant and breastfeeding, both. The point is fearing the death of their baby. It's actually, this is here, it's a bit, what I can say, it's a bit...
It's a condition.
Yeah, this is the condition, because maybe she can fast, and there is no problem with her herself, but she might think that it might harm her baby. So this kind of hypothesis in her mind, if she's doing so, then she should make up these days and to make expiation. Okay, that's the point. I will mention this again. As a menstruating woman or women in a state of postnatal bleeding, they are prohibited to perform, and we said that. Pregnant and breastfeeding women, however, have to make up for fasting days they have missed on the other days. Likewise, women who break their fast due to fear of their children are to feed a poor person for each unperformed day of fasting. Okay. You understand this? Is okay? In other words, feeding a poor person is expiation when a woman breaks her fast in either case, yet she is obligated to make up for not performing the fast afterwards. Okay, this is regarding the woman who is fearing on her baby. In fact, the breaking the fast is deemed obligatory for one who needs it to rescue someone in danger, such as a drowning person or the like. Whenever you are going to rescue someone, okay, sometimes you need to drink or something like this. Someone is drowning in front of you, drowning. So in this case, you can break your fast. Okay, and the last thing is a Muslim should make his intention to observe obligatory fasting from the previous night, such as fasting of Ramadan, expiatory fasting, and the fasting for breaking a vow. Intention here means that one should determine to perform the month of Ramadan or to make up for the unperformed days of fasting. During the month of Ramadan, of course, you know that the niyyah should be from the night. Okay, you cannot do it in the other, other voluntarily kind of fasting. If you wake up in the morning during the dhuhr, for example, and you found that there is no food, then you said that I'm going to fast. This is okay for the nawafil, for the extra or the voluntarily nawafil, but whenever it comes to Ramadan, you cannot do so. Okay? And you should not eat before it. If it's in the voluntarily fasting, for example, the person he woke up and then he ate.